Oh, yeah. It's the 525 Records podcast. My guest today is Johnny Gibson. How you doing? Thanks for
Uh,
doing it.
Howdy, howdy. Thanks for having me.
He is the head engineer here at the Tone Factory in awesome Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
Been here, what, about 4 years?
5 years this year.
5 years.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Just hit the 5 year mark.
That's awesome. First thing, what was it like working with Debbie Gibson? I mean,
That's- I like how that's always like everyone's go to. Like she's cool and she's awesome. I think it's a different generation than mine. My sisters are all goo goo over it, and especially my aunt who is like, from the 80s. So it's very cool. She's awesome, super nice person, super cool. I always describe sessions with her is what I imagine it's like going to like a sleepover as like a 13-year-old girl.
yeah,
Just so bubbly and like sometimes she's just like we're in the middle of a take or something. She's like, I need to dance real quick. I need to get this out. And it's just like super fun and sweet, sweet lady.
have you ever seen her Instagram?
Yeah, I follow her. I see it on.
She's like
Her stuff.
singing while she's taking out the garbage and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
I was actually at her house. A lot of people don't know this, but I do a lot of her sessions at her house.
Ah,
And she's actually recorded all her stuff at her house, even as a kid. Back in the day, she had the tape machines and everything at her house.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but I was doing a session one time with her, and she was like, "Yeah, well, I just need to take a break or whatever. I'm gonna go take out the trash and make an Instagram video."
Yeah.
And that was one of those.
That's cool, man. What I mean, there's some what's the OJs coming here all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Eddie Levert doing his solo stuff, and then bringing the OJs in to do. I think their last whole record was here. All of Eddie's solo stuff was here. During COVID, we did they did like a live stream concert here. That was fun.
Yeah, some pretty awesome dudes coming in here. And then
Yeah.
you recently, who was it? Was it Fat Mike? No effects.
Yeah. Fat Mike from NoFX. That
What
was
was
a
that
cool,
like?
That was awesome. That was a very interesting one for me because I've worked with a lot of big names, a lot of celebrities and stuff. But Fat Mike was one of the first that I worked with that was like my generation's music, like
Yeah,
music I grew up on that was like my youth and like the music my parents told me to turn down. So it
totally.
was very cool, man. And I didn't even know he was coming in, so it's kind of a funny story about that.
Tell it.
We had their engineer booked the studio, and they had he told me that it was for what the heck is his name? It was the guy from 90s hip hop group. What is his name? The group is what's the big 90s hip hop group?
I mean, there's so many.
Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh yeah, well they got
Master Killa.
okay.
So they said it was a session for Master Killa, so I was like, oh great, that's awesome. We had a new engineer here at the time who was kind of sitting in on the session doing it with me, and I had Black Flag on the TV in the front lobby
Cool.
going. It's just what I was feeling that day. Didn't know anything about Fat Mike coming in, but I just had that on the TV, and then the other guy was like, "Oh, we have a hip hop guy coming. Let's put some hip hop on or something." Like, we don't have Black Flag on with this hip hop guy. I'm like, yeah, you're good. And then Fat Mike walks through the door. I'm like, "Oh man, dude, we
Yeah.
could have looked so cool."
Yeah.
But
Oh well.
it was cool, man. It was for Fat Mike's new record. He's got this other band who's really, really good called what is the band? Oh, it's slipping my mind now. I'll have to look it up. But it's for this other band, and Master Kill was doing a verse on one of their songs.
Yeah. I
Oh.
was. I mean, I was never a huge NoFX guy. I mean, I definitely love them, but like
Yeah.
you're really punk rock. You're into
Yeah.
that stuff.
I mean,
and-
I'm not as much as I was more into the pop punk side of things growing up, like the Blink-182, the Green Day, My Chemical Romance, Panic, Fall Out Boy, all that. But NoFX, I've always loved them. I've listened to them all my life growing up.
they're legends.
Oh yeah. And it was my biggest thing. Not as much these days. I won't get into Blink's new record, but my whole life I was like the hugest Blink fan. I have a tattoo of Blink song Waveform on my arm,
Crazy.
and
I mean,
So-
Travis, one of the greatest drummers
oh
of
yeah,
all time,
of
no doubt.
at least
I
my
mean,
generation. But Fat Mike did a lot of work with him on the last, not the last record, but the one before that with Matt Skiba. He's good friends with Matt Skiba, and he was showing me all these like unreleased tracks and stuff that he did with Skiba and stuff, and some information that's not available to the public that I
Interesting.
can't talk about on here, but some really, really cool, interesting insider information that was really, really cool to talk to him about. And Real nice guy. So it was awesome, man. It was a great time.
That's cool, man. What I mean, who are some of the other heavyweights that you've gotten a chance to work with out here?
Oh man, I've had a lot. Let me pull up. I got a list on my phone.
Yeah,
Dude,
do
it's you know the funny thing is I have this list is people that I've worked with that I know. There you go. Here you go. Here's a list of ones that are I've worked with. And if you find any that you're interested in, I can tell you a little bit about it.
Katy Perry.
Come on, man.
That was a live gig. I did a New Year's Eve party for her. She did at what's the new casino? It's not even new anymore, but
Fuck Katy Perry. Skid Row.
Come
Skid
on,
Row.
man.
Yeah, that was
Awesome,
cool. It was the
awesome.
new singer, Eric, and I think his name's Eric. Yeah, dude, amazing. And
Ashley McBride. Get the fuck out of here.
yeah, that was a
Come
live gig
on,
last
man.
year. That was an interesting gig. It was 120 degrees. It was an outdoor show. We were on Digico boards, which do not do good in the heat. And we ended up getting there 2 like window AC units for either side of both consoles. They just wouldn't turn on, and we didn't know if the show was even going to happen until 30 minutes before the show.
Dan Bilzerian?
Yeah.
What the hell is he doing in here?
I went to his house to record his audiobook.
Oh, okay.
They bought, all the gear and stuff, but I went there probably 20, 30 times and we got through maybe 3 chapters. It never came to fruition. I think they ended up hiring a professional voice actor to do it, and he wasn't about it.
Fucking Starship?
Starship, that was a cool one. That was here at Tone Factory.
The Righteous Brothers?
Righteous, that was a cool one too. Yeah, that was here at Tone Factory as well. That
Goddamn
was
legends.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. All those like old cats. Those are really cool to work with and hear them tell their stories. They're always just reminiscing about the old days. And
What, the Beach Boys? When the fuck did that happen?
I did the live show and it wasn't the full Beach Boys. It was the Mike Love show.
Oh, of
pretty
course.
much,
Yeah.
But that was a live gig as well. That was like I think it was Green Valley Ranch or something.
The Nelk Boys?
That was actually I rented my some equipment. I unfortunately wasn't able to be there, so I had to have one of my engineer buddies do the show. But I did all the setup and rented all my equipment for them, and it was like a party at a hotel room. And actually, Vinny, the owner of the studio, his guitar player got that gig for me. He was playing his AC/DC band.
Dude,
In a
speaking of
hotel.
which, I gotta say, I finally found Vinny's cover band online.
Oh yeah,
And they are fucking
it's
awesome,
Kelly's
dude.
band actually.
Dude, they are
but-
so good. That is one
Yeah.
hell of a band of professionals, dude.
Oh, yeah,
and the singer, she is so fucking good.
That's Kelly's girlfriend.
Her
Yeah.
fucking voice, man, she can sing anything. It's so fucking good, dude.
Oh, she's great.
But
She's
dude, I
awesome.
gotta show the camera. You're rocking a fucking flip phone.
yeah. It's I could have got another phone that was better, but this is I wanted something interesting. Everyone's got the
I
Tablet
mean,
phones. You
so
don't unlock
dude,
it
what
for
is
you.
this phone you have? What is it?
it's just Samsung Flip. I actually what I wanted was they have the one that flips out like a tablet. I wasn't about to pay $2,000 for a phone. But that would have been great for running live sound. You could have your mixer open up and it's right there. Do you still need this list? or-
No,
Okay, yeah.
dude. I mean, that's so
Yeah.
cool, dude.
The best part about this phone is it brings you back to the old days of the Razor when
Yeah.
you're like, "Fuck you, I'm done." You can close it,
like you get that slamming the phone
Yeah,
down effect, and then it fits in your pocket much better too.
Yeah, it's nice. It's cool.
So, dude, this is a brand new board here at the Tone Factory. I mean, not brand new, but recently,
Somewhat recently,
new.
almost. I can't remember. It's either a year or 2 years, but yeah, this API 2448, custom built to be 32 channels with a desk in the middle, producer desk on the far left with the patch bay because consoles don't come with patch bays anymore.
What's with the 2 keyboards?
We're in the process of upgrading our Pro Tools rig right now, so one's a Bluetooth, and we're just actually on Tuesday we're doing the big switch. So we're getting all the plugins loaded, Pro Tools loaded. It's a big ordeal getting the HDX stuff to work on the new, M2 chip.
It must be a nightmare.
It is. It's been 2 weeks of pulling one rig out, putting another rig in and out.
Whenever I get that
you know.
email, a Pro Tools update is available, my heart drops.
I never
my
do it. I
stomach,
never do it.
And I'm like, should I do this before I have a session, or should I wait?
No,
Like,
never. Never before a session. But I always wait a couple months and then I'll do it. But the best advice, Dane, Dane.
Of course.
He bought the same Pro Tools rig as Vinny like 5 years ago. And he has not updated anything since. I was just at his house and it was like a time warp. It's crazy. You don't realize how much Pro Tools and all these plugins and everything change.
Yeah.
But his rig is running faster than ours because we have to update. We have to have the newest, best, greatest stuff. So when people bring sessions here, it's a commercial studio.
Oh yeah, I mean 96 and
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
deal. Yeah, for sure.
So it was interesting to be on that old rig and be like, oh man, it's like kind of a time warp. Pro Tools is so different now. And
So the thing about this board is it's API pre's all the way.
Yep.
Right. And like what I mean, it's so comfortable, like the level of it and sitting at it, and the screen it's got a nice curved screen.
It's a total old school console, but with like, modern producing in mind. So it's inline console. You got your small faders, your long faders, kind of SSL style. We're mostly using it for a recording desk.
Right.
Not obviously nowadays we're not doing a bunch of analog mixes and stuff. Recall, we could have up to 3 bands a day in here.
Well, speaking of boards, in the B room, you've got your SSL.
Well, that's not even a board. That's like a controller.
Yeah,
the SSL Nucleus 2.
The last time I was in here was I got to come in solo, which was great because I felt like a real engineer. But I'm pulling up my Pro Tools files and all my automation. It just instantly.
Oh, it's moving. Yeah, this board does that too, though.
I love moving faders.
Oh,
it reminds me of the late '90s. Like, it's so great.
I gotta have it, man. This board has the flying faders. This has the whole automation system built in. So if you're doing an analog mix, you still have your automation with the SMPTE and all that. What I've been doing a lot lately, and we can get into this even at home, but I've been doing like hybrid mixing. So I'm doing like analog summing. So I'll set these small faders. There's a set to 0 button, pan every set of 2 left and right. So I'll do drums on 1 and 2, bass on 3 and 4, guitars, all the way down. And then you're still in Pro Tools mixing in the box. You have your recall, everything's perfect, but you're getting the flavor from the console. And then you can flip these faders to follow Pro Tools, so then you still have the feel of it.
That's what I'm talking about.
But yeah, I love the hybrid sound. The thing is, in Pro Tools, once you hit 0, you're at 0.
Right.
Analog, you can push it harder, and it glues it together more. So much so that I just recently at home switched to the SSL Big 6, which I literally just got going yesterday.
Let's talk about it.
My expectations were immediately exceeded. It was better than I thought it would be.
Well, that's good for you.
It was a big fiasco. I got it used from Guitar Center in another state. I think like $1,500, so which is not bad. They're $3,000 new.
Yeah,
so it was a good deal. But I buy it from Guitar Center. I pay extra for next day shipping. I'm in the middle of mixing a record at home, so I kind of wanted it soon. They kept not shipping it out, so it's not on UPS. It's on them. I could see labels printed but not shipped or not delivered to them. It took 5 days to get here, which was a bummer, but whatever, it happens. Finally gets here. I'm all excited. I get it on my desk. I'm ready to go, and then no power supply.
What?
And it's not, it's an SSL. It's not just your everyday IEC cable.
Yeah.
So that was a huge bummer. I find the Guitar Center it came from. I call them. They don't care at all. They're like, whatever, we'll try to find it. It takes them 2 days to even find it.
You're lucky we're still open, asshole.
Right? Yeah. So it takes them 2 days to even find it, and then 2 more days for them to ship it out. I get it. I'm all excited. I get it out of the package. I set up the board again, bring the power supply in. They sent the wrong power supply.
Shocker.
Oh my gosh, dude. I was so pissed.
It's kind of like, you get a brand new toy and it...
Yeah, and it has to sit there and you can't play with it.
Right, yeah.
Dude,
and you're just looking at it.
I was sitting there mixing these songs. I have this Tascam 2448, or 24, this Tascam Model 24. It's actually my buddy Alex's. So I was doing some analog summing on that, but it's got kind of crappy converters. The high end doesn't sound right. You can't push it hard. It's actually, you can't even push it as hard as you can push Pro Tools, so it was kind of a bummer.
Do you like working in Logic?
No.
Okay.
I can't. I don't even know Logic.
Right.
I was a Studio One guy for a long time.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Studio One, yeah. Which I still like. I just couldn't do it anymore. I mean, I'm in Pro Tools all day here, and that's the studio standard.
Yeah.
My muscle memory for Pro Tools is just too much.
This might sound fucked up, but the economy is slowing down, to say the least.
Yeah.
Have you noticed an increase or a decrease in like 1 hour B room
decrease
TikTok rapper sessions?
Yeah, decrease. We haven't had as much of those, but it's always a fluctuating thing. During COVID, everyone got those government checks. Those sessions were booming.
Yeah.
Every rapper with his government check was knocking at our door.
That was one of the things I want to ask you about too. The Blue Man Group came in and
Yeah.
did a record. I was shocked at their road gear. It was
Oh,
nuts.
it was great. Yeah.
And it came in, and I think you guys were mixing drums or something at
We
that.
did drums. We did all. I don't even remember like their weird instruments they invented.
Their shit is so fucking insane.
It's wild. It's crazy. And then after that record we did, then I did. I've been doing all their voiceover stuff. So Super Bowl was just here in Las Vegas. They did not a performance, but they like an interruption type of thing. So I did the voiceover for that. Was on the big Super Bowl stuff. So that was really cool and fun. And it was cool. I feel like I've been here 5 years. I'm part of Las Vegas now, and Super Bowl was huge for us. I don't care about football at all. I don't even know.
Right.
I couldn't even tell you who was playing the Super Bowl, but it was big for our city, and it was cool to be a part of that. So that was neat.
I've been here since I've been coming here since the 90s, but I moved here in 2002, and back in the day the Blue Man Group had a side band called Ubershaw. I don't know if they're
I
still
remember
kicking
that.
around, but,
I heard of it. I never saw it or
I
whatever, but
did.
I remember when I was in high school discovering Blue Man Group and be like, oh my god, like that Time to Start song was like amazing.
They used to play the Double Down.
Really?
Yeah, which if you know Vegas, that's
Yeah.
a pretty fucking dive bar.
Yeah, yeah.
But you go to fucking Double Down and see Ubershaw, and it was like, oh my god. But dude, yeah, it just But anyway, so back to the SSL. What were you saying about the Big Six or the six? What is it?
Yeah.
Big Six.
Big Six.
Yeah.
So they have the six, which is a smaller one. The Big Six is the bigger one. Long story short, it was a big thing, and they didn't give a shit, and it was very annoying. But I ended up just buying a power supply on Amazon. Got it here yesterday morning. Hooked it up. When I first got it, I didn't have the power supply. I was a little bit disappointed. The first thing you do when you get a mixer is you play with the faders.
Of course.
The faders feel like shit.
Really? Are they light?
They're super light, and they just like move too easy.
Yeah.
Nothing will ever test or match the feeling of the faders on that original Trident Series 80 we had. Not the Series 80B, the original Series 80, which there were only like 5 of, which you were here when that was here.
I remember we had to clean the channels.
Yes,
one day.
yes.
That was nuts, man.
Yeah.
Pulling
every module out,
and like in between all the little spaces.
Yeah.
I mean,
you
it took
smell like
all
contact
day.
cleaner for days.
Oh my god, dude! Yeah, I'd never had to do anything like that before,
Yeah.
and it was such a great experience to be able to see the inside of a board like that.
Yeah, you can see how it's really just a chassis, and it's like such an organic thing,
Yeah, and when you get it open, like
you can see every part in there. It's not like when you open a computer, it's just PCB boards. It's like, oh, that's interesting, but I don't know what this stuff is. But you can see every capacitor, every transformer, and like it's like you pull this out, it's like a hood of a car with the engine pulled out. It's interesting.
For sure. And the weight of the faders is so crucial.
It's so important.
I mean, these are somewhat light, but they feel
these have motors in it, and I think that's the downfall of faders these days. Is everything has flying faders, which is I like it, and it's a good trade off because I love having my faders follow Pro Tools and all that. But the feel, like that Trident Series 80 those were the best faders I've ever felt.
No
but
doubt.
So when I got this SSL, I was like a little disappointed. But I've worked on real SSLs before, and every SSL I've been on, the faders just don't have that greatest feel. So I was like, maybe it's just an SSL thing. But I didn't expect this to be, like a, SSL 9000 or something.
Right.
My expectations were low. The reason I wanted it was because I wanted to do my analog summing and be able to have a little bit of EQ. And, you mix in the box, and then I do a little bit of like, almost like stem mastering, on analog. But my expectations were a little bit low. I was worried about the converters. My interface before was a Neve interface, so great converters. So I was like, I may just use my Neve interface and go, out of that and just not use the converters on the SSL. Excuse me. But as soon as I plugged it in, are you familiar with SSL Super Analog?
Not
stuff?
really. I've only. I mean, like they had a SSL. Fuck, I forget which one it was.
I think they have a 9000.
It was one of the good ones.
Yeah,
$100,000 SSL.
Oh, it's more than that.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Especially nowadays.
But no, this is why I look to you. You were like, you were, back in the day in the 90s, they had a website called Gear Slut.
Oh, that's still around.
Okay, cool. I've been on there
here,
20
baby.
years,
Yeah.
but it was kind of a thing. Like you were a gear slut.
Yeah, it's an Instagram page now. I don't know if it's the same guys, but I follow it and comment on it quite regularly.
Whenever I have a gear slut question, I look to you for these answers. Mm-hmm. You're like my hero.
I am a gear whore. That's my thing. But yeah, when I plugged it in, the super analog. So that's SSLs. whenever you see it in writing, it says super analog TM trademark. It's a phrase they coined, you know.
Right.
So I always kind of thought that was kind of a marketing something, whatever gimmick. Um, and the whole thing of super analog is just super duper ultra clean, low noise
Gain.
preamps and everything.
Yeah.
When I plugged this in and turned the volume up, no hiss, no buzz, no nothing. It's nothing. So I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. It turned it up all the way, nothing. I turned up every gain, every fader 100%, turned the volume up 100%. Literally zero noise.
Wow.
So that's the first thing that was very impressive to me for that low cost of a product.
Yeah.
That's kind of still in the prosumer kind of range. So that was very cool. And then I started running some tracks through it. The pots themselves feel great. They feel just like a real SSL. And just the EQ points on it. It's I think the E series EQs on there, but they're broad stroke EQ. So you just have a low, mid, high.
Right.
And then the high and low, you can either be a bell or a shelf. And I didn't think I was going to use them much because they're so broad. It's like literally all the highs, all the lows, are all the mids.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I might, dabble with it. Neat to have. But whatever. Super useful, man. These mixes I'm working on for this band I'm working on with a buddy of mine. The drums were a little bit harsh, and I was doing all my drum bus stuff and cleaning it up. Just take that high end and dip it down a little bit. Push the mids just a hair, just one little notch. Totally fix the problem. And then it's got one knob compressors on the first 4 channels. Again, I thought, this is a one knob compressor. It's not anything special. I figured it might be kind of useful just to for tracking to catch some peaks. Super flavorful. It's got the SSL sound.
Really?
It sounds really good. And on top of that, the master has the classic G-Bus compressor, which is really great. And again, it's a dumbed down version of it. That is set, attack, and release. So you just have your threshold and your makeup gain. I thought it was going to be gimmicky and I wouldn't use it too much, or maybe use it just for summing drums or something. It sounds like an SSL compressor. It does the real glue. And it has the auto makeup gain, which is or the auto release, I'm sorry. The auto release, which is it is the real deal SSL. So when I heard it, I was impressed with it so much I started looking up the manual and looking at this SSL, so it has actual schematics and stuff.
Of course.
This thing is a real SSL.
Yeah.
It's
for $1,500.
Well, that's what I got it for. It's $3,000 new.
Well,
but
yeah,
so I'm just very impressed, dude.
It's just inboard effects never go that good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always a train wreck.
On these boards that they make, that are at this size and level and stuff, it's usually Tascam or Rhodes, kind of like yours. And they've always been neat. And I have the Tascam Model 12, which I really, really, really like. It's my go-to. If I have a small live gig, it's my go-to board.
Right.
And it's got, EQs, one knob compressors and stuff. And is neat, but in the studio, the preamps are not good. The converters are not good. Everything sounds a little thin. So I was kind of sort of expecting that a little bit, I guess. And that was my my range of what I had to compare.
Well,
it to.
I'm sure you got a rack at home with all kinds of
not so much anymore. I've sold a lot of that stuff because at the end of the day, I'm working here. I'm so spoiled. So all the gear I had before was nothing compared to this. So I sold off a lot of. It's mostly prosumer stuff. But now what I'm focusing on at home is making a nice mixing room. So I got, I'm borrowing Vinny's Adams right now, but I'm going to try and buy them from him because I really like them.
We should say Vinny is the owner of the Tone Factory.
Yeah, he's the chief engineer.
He's
the owner,
the
operator.
man.
Yeah, the man.
Awesome dude.
But yeah, so I'm working on right now, just making a good, nice mixing room. So I got the SSL Big 6 as my main hub. The next piece of gear I'm getting is the ultraviolet SSL EQ. I guess I'm an SSL guy now.
For sure. Clearly.
For mixing, it's kind of the route. But so a good I'm just getting a master bus for outboard gear. So I'm going to get that ultraviolet EQ for master EQ. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Zulu tape emulator.
No.
I think it's by Handsome Audio. It's a passive unit. It sits on your desk, and they also have 500 series units, which I probably will go with. But it's a tape emulator. You could choose different tape types, different bias, different
That sounds
EQ.
right up my alley,
It's
buddy.
amazing, dude. So I'm gonna
Because
get
the first
that.
thing I always do in Pro Tools is pull up that Eddie Kramer
Yeah, the Kramer.
tape
Yeah,
plugin. I
that's a
mean,
good
it's the
one.
only one I have. It's the only one I know
Yeah.
that really like
Dude,
is
I
good. But
forget what it's called, but Plugin Alliance has an emulation of a Scully 280B, which I have the real deal of
of course.
in Texas at my parents' house.
So okay, here's what I would really want to know. Take me through like in 5 minutes. You grew up in St. Louis.
Mhm.
And now you're here in Vegas. You're the head engineer at the Tone Factory Las Vegas, the best fucking studio in town.
That's right.
How do you go from A to B? You did not go to recording school, as far as I
did.
remember. Oh, you did.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so take me in 5 minutes.
I'll give you the elevator pitch
Do it.
of my career here. So when I was in high school in St. Louis, I was in bands and stuff like we all were. And I going to a pro studio like this was never even a thought in my mind. Couldn't afford it. It never even passed through my head to do that. So
You were a musician first.
musician first, yeah. Skateboarder first. Musician, those go hand in hand, in the
Yeah.
day. Yeah, so I was, in bands and stuff, and we want to record our music. So my parents have always been super awesome with supporting whatever we wanted to do, and we're all about us doing what we love, not making money on, some bullshit desk job or whatever. So I remember my dad and I went. First thing we did, actually, there was a backline company that was going out of business, had a big sale. So my dad and I went there and we picked up. I got this old Yamaha mixer, it's like a 12-channel mixer or something, some little EQs and stuff, which I had no idea how to use at the time. So I had that stuff that we kind of used for band practice. We had a little PA and stuff. And then one day, my dad and I went to Guitar Center. I got a set of Rocket 5 speakers, a 2-channel interface that was for like a PreSonus little 2-channel interface. The cheapest pack of drum mics you can buy is like $100 or something.
Almost little lav mics. Like
Yeah, no, they were like I can't remember the brand name, but it was like Guitar Center brand.
And you're doing all this to record your band.
My own band, yeah.
Exactly.
And I got so I think that's what we got the drum mic. Oh, and we got a large diaphragm condenser. Sterling Audio, I think, like the cheapest one there.
$99.
Yeah, something like that. So and then what we had to do was we to record drums was a 2-channel interface. So yeah, we record in just a 2-track of drums, and you get a good ass take. And I was the drummer in the band, so we get a good ass take, and you listen back. Rack toms louder than everything else. Fuck, no way you could change it. So you got to redo the whole take.
And thus started your journey.
Yes, and understanding gain structure and recording. That is, I think, what ingrained in me to this day of getting it right at the source and making sure that it sounds like a record as you're tracking it before you even start mixing.
Right.
But so we did that, and we had do vocals in that large diaphragm condenser and stuff, and it got to a point where I was I enjoyed engineering. I was never a great musician. I can keep time and play with a band and stuff, but I'm not like the best drummer. So it got to a point where when we're tracking, I would just have my buddy Dan, who was in bands with me for years, just play the drums. I'll engineer, and I just kind of fell into that. I liked that more, and I got it.
You became obsessed with.
I did with gear and recording, and just like
the perfect drum sound.
Trying different. I love from that day to now. Love just like trying different mics on different sources, doing weird stuff, using things wrong, and just trying to find cool sounds.
Right.
So that's where it all kind of started, and then moved to San Antonio my senior year of high school for my dad's work, and I didn't do super well my junior year, so my senior year was very just trying to graduate. Didn't do a whole lot of music there. I didn't play any bands there. I did some like YouTube stuff of my own there, did some covers.
But at some point you wind up opening a studio on your own, or you're
yeah,
working
so
in a studio?
I'm in high school at this point, and oh shit.
Do you live in Portland, Oregon?
Hell yeah, player.
What a stupid question.
Good news. There's a Less Cash show. It's coming Saturday, March 30th. It is at the Old Gilbert Road Tavern, located at 5501 Southeast 72nd Avenue. This show is also going to be audio and video recorded for future posterity, so you might make it into the history books on a live Less Cash video. Less Cash, Saturday, March 30th, 8 p.m. at the Old Gilbert Road Tavern.
Ugh.
Tone Factory, when I moved to Vegas, was like a commercial studio.
Yes.
So how I ended up in Vegas was I was dating my now wife, but then girlfriend, and she was a professional model at the time. and she was moving to Vegas to pursue modeling and like full time, because she got out of high school and all that, and so she moved here. And we did long distance for a year, and I was like, oh man, it's time. I did like all kinds of sessions extra. I was doing live work in San Antonio there, but that's another story. But I was doing all this extra work to save up money to move here, and one day we're just like, oh, we got to do it. We got to pull the trigger, man.
So what year did you move to Vegas?
It's either 2018 or 2019.
What year did you start working at Tone Factory?
Same year. It was like the stars had aligned.
So you hit the town. You're putting out feelers? Where else did you apply?
It's a messed up story. The church I was working at there in San Antonio had a job lined up for me at another church here. So I was like, a constant paycheck. I could pay the bills and stuff. Like a week or 2 weeks before I move out here, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, that whole job that fizzled out. That it's not there anymore. I'm like, dude, I've already got an apartment, sold stuff, got a moving truck. Like I'm moving here in a couple days. Like what do I do? I'm moving to Vegas with no job and stuff. I had like 10 grand in my bank account, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? So I got here. My girlfriend, now wife, were living together, and she had a thing with her work, and she kind of was getting out of the modeling business for other reasons. But so we were just like both jobless for a minute, and I was going to every studio. I sent emails to literally every studio in town. And I'm talking every studio, all these bullshit, fake ass, basically a laptop and an interface hip hop studios
that are charging, crazy rates.
And I had my whole studio, so I was like emailing people like, these small, like, I have a whole studio. We can make a B room for you guys. We can I can have my own room there. We can figure out rates. Like, I have this whole studio of gear and backline, guitars out the ass, drums out the ass, amps, everything. Like, I gotta get some work,
Yeah.
But I went to I actually had interview with this guy that had a studio. It was called Dogleg Studio or something like that. It's not around. It's something else now. But I sent something to him, of course, as well, and he set up a meeting with me at Starbucks, and we sit down, and he goes, I want to start out this meeting by saying, I do not have any work for you.
Of course not.
Yeah, I'm like, why am I
But
here?
if you want to intern.
But no, it wasn't even that.
It wasn't even that?
No,
Oh,
he was a super, super nice guy, and he was like, I just see your ambition, I saw all your work you did and stuff, and I want you to thrive in Vegas. So he told me what to do. He said, get your resume, buy some cheap flash drives with your mixes and your work on it, and get a $5 gift card to Starbucks, and go to the places you really want to work.
Yeah.
And go to them in person, bring your stuff to them, and give them the gift cards, like this, a little thank you for payment for your time. Get yourself a coffee on me, for wasting your time or whatever. And I did that. So I went. This Tone Factory was the number one studio I wanted to work at.
Right.
So I went to Tone Factory, went to the Palms, which was actually hard to get into. The Palms it's even sort of closed now, but
it wasn't exactly open to the public.
Yeah, exactly. But I went there. I actually went to the front desk. I was like, yeah, I'm looking for the studio. I have some paperwork. I'm in a band. I'm like, okay, yeah. And just gave me, and I went up there, and Zoe was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Never heard back from them, but and then I went to the Hideout, the main spots here in Vegas. Of course.
For sure.
Studio A wasn't even around at that time.
No, they were not open. But so, obviously you meet Vinny, you get hired.
Yeah,
Talk about your first, do you remember your first day?
Oh,
your
yeah.
first shift?
So when I first came in to even give Vinny my information, the studio is way better in person than online. Especially back then, his website wasn't as good as it is now.
Yeah, the pictures don't really equate to the
So I came in, I
volume.
was just like, oh my gosh. And when the first day I was here, Vinny, who am I? I didn't even know. I was like, so, naive. Who am I to walk in the middle of the day? Like, well, he could have had a band here, but he happened to be sitting here by himself mixing a record. And he kind of was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And he kind of like grilled me a little bit. He goes, so do you know all this gear and stuff? I was like, most of it, a lot of it. Yeah, I'm a big, gear whore and stuff. And I didn't have any of the stuff myself, but I've used plugins, and I just like spent hours and hours just watching videos on all this stuff. And I know how to use, I at the time knew how to use all this gear, even though I've never touched it.
Bro, you got a degree in audio engineering.
Yeah, well, yeah, but even that was like, it's not the real thing until you're working,
Right. That's what I'm always saying.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. But anyway, so that first shift, like, what is it like?
Well, that first day he was like, what would you use for a vocal chain?
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah. I was like, well, I like Neve, so I'll go Neve 1176 LA2A. He's like, it's a classic choice. It's good. It's good. What are these? He's like pointing to the Neve compressor. What would you use these on? Like maybe a drum bus or a master bus, and like so I kind of knew the gear. And he's like, okay, this guy knows. But unbeknownst to me, Vinny's not going to hire anybody that doesn't know how to track real bands, do real music, know real outboard gear. Because a lot of these kids that come in here and looking to work, they don't know any of that stuff. But so I think that was my kind of door in. It just happened to be the old engineer was leaving like within those couple days. So I think like 3 or 4 days had went by and didn't hear anything from him. So this was the number one studio I wanted to work at. So I got his number that day. I texted him and said, "Hey, Vinny, don't mean to bother you. I'm just interested in coming by.
Please,
I need work." And he texted back almost immediately. He goes, "What are you doing today? What are you doing right now?" And I said, "Nothing. I don't have a job."
Yeah.
So he literally had me come in that day, and I don't even remember what we were doing. He said, "Come sit in on the session, see how you do." And I think he had me set up some mics or something, and I knew what I was doing to that degree, of course, and I was just like blown away. I was like, am I in? Do I work here now?
Yeah.
And, so he kind of had me. He's like, okay, so I can't just give you a job. I got to, let's start. I want you to start coming in interning. So I was interning for about a week, and then Dane at the time was interning as well.
Oh, he started all the way back then?
Yeah, we started like the same time.
Oh,
and
shit.
he was like, yeah, this other guy's interning. You guys can kind of work together. And it really worked out because I didn't know Pro Tools at all. I used Pro Tools in school, but I was always like a Pro Tools hater for some reason.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah. But so I didn't know Pro Tools. I knew I could like track and stuff, get around it, but I didn't know it like I do now.
Yeah, you didn't have the mouse on maximum sensitivity flying around.
That's what I do now, yeah.
It's amazing to watch both you guys. I mean, Vinny in particular, but you the hotkeys.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When you get all those memories.
I got Vinny beat on the hotkeys. He's still old school. Watching Vinny go up to the menu to like make new tracks and stuff is killing me. But,
I can't even work on your guys' mouse. The first thing I do if I'm sitting down, I turn the sensitivity.
Dude, you don't even know. At home on my laptop, I got the next one up, the more expensive mouse that has a mouse duplicator. So I'm twice as fast as this mouse.
I just don't even know how you can work like that. It is so sensitive.
It's got to be super fast for me, man. I can't be there all day moving a mouse.
And so here you are 5 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, would it be fair to say that you're here more than Vinny? I mean,
some days, yeah. I'm here every day, almost every day.
And you do the booking, right? I mean,
I do for myself. Yeah. It's all freelance, so I do my thing. But the way I actually got the job was the OJs were coming in. It's like blowing my fucking mind, dude.
Yeah.
Vinny's like, I was interning for literally like a week, and Vinny, we got to talking. He knows the gear I have and stuff, and he's like, here's the deal: the OJs are booking the studio for a week to do a rehearsal for their upcoming tour. I was like, the fucking OJs, dude. Fucking money,
yeah.
Fucking backstabbers,
real deal.
Yeah, so I was just like, it was like kind of intimidating. I never worked with anybody famous before, and especially not to that degree, like fucking legends.
Yeah.
So, he knew I had my X32. He's like, well, I want to bring in your X32 and use that for the rehearsal for the PA and stuff. I was like, dude, I was like, I'll just bring it in. Like I didn't expect to get paid. He's like, here's your hourly rate starting off. Like that was my first gig was the fucking OJs, dude.
That's crazy.
But yeah,
that's
and then
awesome.
From there, Dane and I actually did sessions together because I didn't know Pro Tools very well and he didn't know outboard gear at all.
Right.
So
it was like a trade-off.
Yeah, and we started out at 15 an hour, dude. That was some time back, and starting off with engineering, that's kind of where you got to start at the bottom of the totem pole, So B room was 15 an hour, so we were doing 2-hour sessions. Splitting the pay. So some days we do make $15 a day, which is crazy. But we both just learned so much from each other, and I cut my Pro Tools teeth on hip hop bullshit sessions. Like those guys are punching in every single word.
Dude, it is. If you've never worked one of those sessions, it's hard to describe the insanity.
It's wild, crazy. It's just weird,
Yeah, and you did a lot of those, and until you've actually sat on one of those and had to roll, where it's just let me get another one, and then it's such a train wreck that eventually you
have to learn how to set up your session, like drag stuff down, pull it up, make a recording track, make several backing tracks, and
you have to save it.
Oh yeah.
At some point, you get one good line, line, and then now you've got to go in and cut and punch and paste.
Yeah, or they go. I like to take 5 takes ago, so you got to know which one. Like you learn to
Yeah.
know what they might like or not like.
And they're
you
just
know?
not. It's not worth. They're not paying you enough to
Oh
like
no,
do
yeah,
that kind of work. You know.
yeah,
But it's just amazing. Like the couple of ones that I was sort of shadowing you on,
yeah.
they didn't even want to record. Like,
Oh yeah, sometimes, especially in Vegas, dude, people come out here and from places where weed isn't legal. So these rappers come and they get the craziest weed you can get here, which is crazy. I don't even smoke, but like I know, from friends that do, like, we got crazy weed here. So these guys will come in, book, 2 hours or whatever, and then they just get so blazed out of their mind. They're like, let's just listen to beats, man.
Yeah.
Or some guys just want to take pictures and pretend like they're fucking.
That's
famous
what I was gonna
rappers.
say. The one session I remember in particular, he didn't even want to roll any takes. It seemed like he just wanted to have a mic to make it look
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and just like
Yeah.
put it on IG or TikTok or whatever.
I don't do many of those anymore. That's like, bottom of the totem pole. That's what you start on doing. And at the time, I was like, dude, this sucks. Like, and I was like, kind of weird place in my career where I was like, is this what I'm going to do for a living? Because I didn't get to do anything in here. Like,
Right.
but I'm so grateful for it now because it got me so good in Pro Tools, and I understand now that like Vinny knows, a pro engineer like even myself when we get new guys in here, like I can't throw someone in a band.
Right.
You have to know how to mic drums. You have to be able to hear when things are out of phase. You have to know when to keep takes, not keep takes, when to change the snare, all this stuff. So I'm so grateful. Vinny's been so amazing to me, and I've learned so much from him, and just been able to like really haven't become a pro engineer until I started working here under Vinny, and he's been like my biggest mentor to this day.
It's just awesome to get to pro status. Like, it takes so much fucking time and work,
Oh yeah,
and
and
I can't.
I'm still learning every day, man, and like
Yeah, well, dude, let's talk about what is like. You guys got a bunch of new gear going. Like, what's the latest additions to the Tone Factory arsenal?
Oh man, we got all kinds of stuff. The newest piece of gear, we got this gas cooker DI, which is an amazing, like, kind of like, it's up top there, the green one. Amazing bass DI.
It
Sounds
looks
so
amazing.
good. Yeah, it's old school. It's full tube, and you get that growl, and it helps the bass just like cut through a track, but still have good low end and not be muddy. It's just so good. We got those 4 Spectrasonics. What are they? 610s, I think. Is that what it says at the top of those silver units? Yeah, Spectrasonic 610s. Amazing compressors. Somehow Vinny found 2 vintage ones, which was like nuts to find, and you got them for a good price and stuff. Dude, they're like not a normal compressor. You can almost use it as a transient designer, almost even. They're so good, like amazing on kick and snare, like a drum bus.
Are they 80s?
I think 70s, like mid 70s.
What comes up on here? Is it?
Turn it on. Oh, there it is. One under it.
So I thought it was a digital.
No, they're VU meters.
Those are straight. This is
Now
70s.
I don't know if the ones on top are the ones on top plugged in. I think we still have to install those.
Yeah,
No.
they're off.
They're got a little bit different color meters, but those are so great, dude. And then like a week later, he gets 2 more vintage ones. They've recently started to remanufacture these, but the vintage ones are like,
I'm just still afraid to touch anything in this rack.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. You're not gonna mess anything up.
Dude, so where do you even find Spectrasonics?
Dude,
I've never even heard of them.
You never heard of Spectrasonics?
I
Man?
mean,
they
dude,
made some badass consoles, all kinds of cool shit. But no, Vinny, I don't know how Vinny does it, dude. He finds all this gear from old, shut down studios, or like just, dude, he finds this gear like the gas cooker up top. Those are unheard of. No one can. Vinny's been looking for that for years, and we finally found one. It
doesn't look that old though. It looks like it's like
oh
brand
no,
new.
I think they're like 70s, maybe 80s, but they're like, they're rare,
It's not beat up at all.
No,
Like,
no. And that's the other thing. Like, not only does Vinny find this amazing equipment somehow and get good deals on it, he finds good, like, in good condition stuff that people take care of.
So okay, so Vinny decides he needs a quad Spectrasonics.
No, he doesn't decide that. He somehow comes across the gear, and when he finds it, like, well, it's available, I got to get it.
So what's the hot thing to use these on?
I like them on drum buses and kick and snare. Like, we have 4 of them, so like, and more so in mixing, I like it a lot. They're dangerous tracking. Like, the first day we got them, I had it was a jazz band in here, I think, and I got it on snare, and we got it sounding so good. The snare was amazing. You just have him hitting the snare. It was amazing. But then when he started playing the whole kit, it sucked all the cymbals in, so it's super dangerous too. But on mixing, we got 4 of them, so I do one on kick, one on snare, and then a pair on the drum bus itself.
That's dope. So what about the LA3s? I mean, when
Those
did
are
arrive?
also great. Those are one of my favorite compressors. They're great for tracking acoustic guitars. I mean, they can go on vocals, um, anything really. But my favorite use of them, and I use the plug-in of it all the time on background vocals, dude. If you got background vocals that you want to be big and full and clear, but also push to the back, I'll crank the, one hand to the right, one hand to the left, and it's perfect. You're super smashing them, but they're still very transparent. They don't feel like they're like being smashed. So it just anything you want to push to the back of a mix, but still be clear and you can hear it well, and
And
like glued to the mix.
you remember when you're saying your Vinny audition? He's like, "What kind of vocal chain would you use?"
Yeah.
And he's a Neve into the 1176 into the LA2.
Yeah.
Is the idea there? It's a really strong singer. The 1176 is going to grab most of it, and then the
Yeah. Well,
LA2 is just going to get the top.
that's a classic vocal chain. And I said that because I knew that's like the classic vocal chain, and I still do it sometimes. But the thing behind that is basically the 1176 is like bringing the vocals forward, making them nice and big, but you feel it, pulling down.
Right.
So then the LA2A softens it up a little bit, and sometimes the LA2A will catch some of the higher stuff that the 76 doesn't catch.
But only if it's a really
Anybody.
big singer, right?
Sometimes that's very good for a very soft singer
Oh,
when
okay.
they're so quiet, they're mousy,
Yeah.
and you gotta bring it up nice and close and full, and you get that really intimate sound too.
So what's like you're saying the LA3s for background vocals? Is there anything before or after? On
Well, that's in mixing.
Okay, gotcha.
That's in mixing. Yeah.
I've only done any of this stuff in Pro
In the
Tools,
box, yeah.
So to actually have fingers on knobs is like a
Oh, it
rarity
feels so
for
good.
me.
You know what? There's something to be said about that as well. Fingers on knobs. I'm glad you bring that up because plugins are so good these days. There's stuff that sounds just almost identical, but there's something about having outboard gear of physically putting your hands on things and using stuff that is like you're playing an instrument. So whether I don't care if this LA2A sounds exactly identical to the plugin. I think I can get it to sound better with a physical one that you're there in the room, just touching it and feeling it, and like the physical world being, interacting with this equipment that makes you a better mixer, So
So let's keep
something about
running.
it.
Let's just run through the rack because I just can't get enough.
Yeah.
So all right, talk to me. When do you use when do the distressors get most of their work in here?
I love the distressors. They're a great tool. It's a Swiss Army knife of compressors. I never use them. Here's my thing, dude. Especially these days, the industry has changed so much. Everything's about speed. So I always gravitate towards stuff with less knobs and less settings. But when I do use them, it's usually like last time I used them, I think I had it on sometimes I'll put like a old like weird lo-fi mic under the drum kit just on the floor.
Right.
And I'll smash it with that, and then like sometimes do a room mic smashed with that. But
Well-
they're great for kick and snare, amazing vocal thing. Actually, anytime I have metal singers like screamo stuff,
Right.
I'll go through that.
That's the main.
in the punish mode or whatever it is, or nuke mode. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Punish punish mode is that's Sound Toys.
Well, speaking of,
Decapitator.
you don't like things with too many knobs. Tell me about the Manly stereo.
That thing does it. That's awesome. That's like kind of a Pultec type of thing. And I always forget that's there. It blends in so much. I always forget it and don't use it a lot. But I recently was doing some mixes in here and just threw down the master, and it sounded so good. Just pushing it through the two. Even sometimes going through the Pultec thing, not even have it bypass. It's still going through it, but you don't have the EQs engaged. It sounds good, man.
Whenever I attempt to mix poorly in Pro Tools, when I don't have all the plugins, but I'm a plugin junkie, no doubt. But my go-to when I'm doing drums is the DBX 160.
Oh yeah,
So
that's a
tell
great
me-
snare compressor, dude. That's the classic snare compressor. And bass, I like it on bass a lot too. But yeah, usually that's on my snare. Snare, either snare top or a lot of time I like to sum my kicks and snares going in. So I'll have like 2 or 3 mics on my kick, and then I'll sum them through a bus and put them in Pro Tools. So I'm just recording one track.
So what's the big difference between the 165 and the 160? Like, what do you?
165 is more of a bass compressor. That's the only thing I think I may have ever used it on was just bass. But yeah, it's just a little bit different circuitry in it, and I think the 160 is I'm trying to think now. One is a little bit faster than the other and just a little bit different tonality, but they're pretty similar all in all. The 160 is really what the 1176 was based off of. It's the original, super fast compressor. The Brits just fucking nailed it with the 1176,
And what is
from
what's the tape with the X?
the tape with the X.
It's got a
I
big
can't
X
see.
on a piece of tape.
Oh, I think it means it's broken.
Ah,
Let's see.
okay.
Oh yeah, that output on that one, we got to get Ed Evans, legendary tech here on it. That's his
Well,
next piece of
dude, the
gear
other
he's
thing I was
fixing.
gonna say is, the last time I was in here, I noticed there was all kinds of markings on the LA2 and all the other ones. Like, it seems like it's been a full reset in terms of, you know.
We were probably just in the middle of doing a record. I'll throw some board tape on there that says what it's going to. And in the studio now, if we got, like I said before, we have could have up to 2 or 3 bands in this room a day. So if it's got a piece of tape on it that says bass or snare or something, that means like, hey, this is in use. Don't touch the settings.
Right.
And sometimes with all this vintage gear, stuff goes down. So we're very, very good. Vinny's very good about keeping this place functioning. I've been to plenty of studios and worked in plenty of studios where I want to use a piece of gear. Like, oh, that doesn't work. Oh, that doesn't work. Nothing's working.
It looks cool. But
Yeah.
it's
So
not
we're
working.
like that DBX 160. That one, the left side is down right now. We'll get it fixed within a week or so. There's hardly ever something broken. As soon as something breaks or is malfunctioning, we get it looked at and fixed right away. Either Vinny has me do it, I do a little bit of soldering stuff, and it's something too technical for me, we take it to legendary tech at Evans.
Okay, so something I want to talk to you about. You guys have a fuck ton of people coming in to do guitar tracks here.
Yes, we do.
An amazing arsenal of awesome electric guitars.
Every guitar is represented here in this wall, other than P90s.
I want to hear, because a lot of the IG post stuff that I see, you guys will pull a Marshall head or whatever head you're using into the control room, put it on a stand, be running it out to a cab, and then be dialing it in here. But there's a lot of times where you're doing what I like to call the art of big guitars using small amps.
It sounds counterintuitive, but yes, that's the way to get a big guitar sound, man. Sure, I'll do my main guitars. People want the big rock and roll Marshall sound. We'll do, do all our guitars through a Marshall, but then start stacking with like a little, something no name brand, little speaker, tiny little, 10-inch amp, the little combo, and it's just that's what cuts through and makes it so different and huge. I remember when I was first working here, I was doing a pop punk band, and I made the mistake of stacking all these guitars, and I knew stack guitars, but I use different guitars with the same amp. And the problem with that is all the harmonics are the same from that amp. So those harmonics build up and build up and build up, and mixing it was a bitch.
It just all comes in the middle, and there's no separation.
And then you start like cutting out whatever those harmonic frequencies are, but then that's like killing your sound of your guitar. So it's like, oh man, what am I gonna do?
Well, you guys do a lot of IG posts of whatever you're doing. And,
we try to stay, current.
One of the ones that sounded I thought was amazing. You guys have a little Supro.
Oh yeah, the Supro is great.
I don't know what pedal the guy was using, but
yeah.
It just when you get it at the end of the day mixed, it's like, my God, how is that coming out of the Supro? I played through that amp. It doesn't sound like that.
Well, it's stacking in. It's a combination. Like I said, all these different amps have different harmonics and different tonalities and frequency ranges. So that's like you're really making a wall of guitars with, like let's say this amp is like right at 3K. So like that's hot spot. So if you start stacking that up, then you got a big range of 3K and it's on top of each other. So when you're mixing, you can only put so much in a frequency. So you gotta stack your guitars and keep that in mind and know like this guitar's got more low and this got more high and this one's like is more saturated. This one's a little clean. Sometimes if you like look at some of these big mixes, you'll solo like it's a big huge rock and roll song, distorted guitars. You might solo one to be like a super clean AC30 or something. It's like it's in there doing its part to make that wall of guitars.
So I don't know if you remember the day that you were doing the Supro tracks, but like was it just one mic? Were you blending? Was it?
I use that Supro so much. I don't know what day you're talking about in particular, but a lot of the time I'm just doing a 57, classic 57.
Front.
Yep, right
in the grill.
Yeah, I'll either do like right in the middle of the cone, right between the edge of the cone and the dust cap, or like right in the middle of the the cone itself, or I'll do right on the edge where the dust cap meets the cone. And usually a combination of those two placements, on whatever amps I'm stacking and stuff.
And then
different tone.
into what kind of pre's, anything? I mean, or is it just straight
It's different
in,
for
or-
the record. Usually we're doing all drums through the API. So I'll usually do maybe like the main guitars through the API and then start stacking with Neves.
And then, like, is
Um,
there a go-to when you get it in post and you're playing with it? Is there a go-to? I know you're a big Fab Filter guy.
Oh
like,
yeah,
for
everything.
EQs and stuff. But
Well, Fab Filter is my subtraction EQ. I'm using Fab Filter to take out whatever dirty stuff I don't want, and then anything additive, I usually use something with more flavor, whether it's a Neve, an API, GML, whatever. Something Pultec, whatever flavor you need for that particular track.
Yeah.
But
dude, do you know the band Cake?
I love Cake.
You know that for those first couple of records,
The best cover of Guitar Man was by Cake.
dude. Well, Greg Brown, I believe, is his name. I don't want to fuck it up.
That's the
but-
main guy.
Well, he quit.
Did he?
After
The
the
singer?
second record, they found another guy named Zan McCurdy.
Is that like the little guy that's wearing the hat singing?
No, that's John. I think McCrae. I should look. I should be. This is why I have this
Yeah,
iPad,
the
and
other
I'm just not
iPad.
gonna look it up. But I'm pretty sure the original guy, like Fashion Nugget, was Greg Brown. And when I think of the art of, Cake is not necessarily big rock guitars, but the sound, the sound of
Dude,
that
I
hollow body
always-
guitar on the Fashion
Yeah.
Nugget is so
Oh, yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
good.
Dude,
And you know it's a little amp. you
Cake
know?
is the king of good sounding bad guitar sounds, if that makes any sense.
They're just so juicy to me.
I wouldn't think of Cake as like the best guitar. I mean, their stuff sounds amazing. I love it, and it stacks up and sounds good. But it's like it almost sounds bad in a good way, like a cool lo-fi thing almost.
On
you
that
know?
record, there's not a ton of tracks. It's
Mm-mm.
really one or maybe
No.
two tracks.
Or I know I'm not like the biggest Cake fan in the world. I can't remember like whatever songs were on whatever records, but
Here's where we get fucking
right there you go. I remember their them having like a lot of like acoustic guitars or whatever going through like I think it was even like a nylon string going through an amp or something.
That's the singer. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a really cool sound. They sound so different than everybody else and great songs. I remember finding them in high school and just like loving it. Oh yeah. Was this like fast car yas or something
There's
like that?
two guitars. There's the
Yeah,
nylon, which is the singer's
Yeah.
playing, and then when he comes in with the electric riff, it's like so amazing.
Yeah. And the big roomy drums.
Still hang proudly like testicles from rear
Right here.
view mirrors. The land of race car
You
yayas.
get a dick?
The land where you
That's
It's like
I
a
mean,
335 or something.
I think it's definitely hollow, semi hollow. Right here.
Just a left and right guitar. Not crazy stacked wall. It sounds great.
Dude, it's
It's a 1970s or 60s and 70s approach to recording a record. But
Yeah.
it's like at its time a modern kind of like indie thing, you know?
it's like it doesn't have to be that hard, you know? I mean, it's
Yeah.
it just sounds so good to me. But
Yeah.
another one,
That's a perfect example of less is more.
yes. And just a really good guitar player, like not trying to.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
guitar army orchestras, which
If we're getting into fucking good sounding instrumentals or good sounding music and you want to look it up, I could give you some shit I'm on right now if you're interested. In
yeah,
that.
what hit me?
So I've always loved country music, but grew up really being in a pop punk whatever thing. But as I get older, I've been loving this new age of resurgence of outlaw country.
Oh, outlaw country's the shit.
Dude, like fucking Coulter Wall, Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers, all these guys, John, it's so good. And I've been tripping out. Allie and my wife and I just went to see Lucas Nelson.
Oh, he just played at Brooklyn Bowl.
Yeah, I was just there, dude.
Okay, how
It
was
was-
you went to the show?
It's the best show I've ever fucking been to,
Dude,
dude.
it looked. It was. I didn't go, but
Dude, his records are so good. It's nothing. It sounds like shit compared to him live. It's so good, and the band is so tight. I hate Coulter Wall is my favorite artist right now of all time. I just saw him not too long ago too at the Pearl. As much as I love him and love his music, it wasn't the most exciting show because
Yeah.
that's the kind of music that you go to at a saloon and you listen to this guy while you're drinking.
you ever heard of Tyler Childers?
Tyler Childers is so good.
One of my favorite
Yeah, dude. Actually, my wife walked down the aisle to a good friend of ours, Wyatt Turner, playing one of Tyler Childers' songs.
Wyatt Turner plays Tyler Childers songs?
He played it for my wedding
Childers?
per request for my wife's special day.
This song.
It's subtle. There it is. Boing, boing, boing. It's like a spring.
This line right here, though?
Get me higher than the grocery bill.
No, it's coming up. It's coming up. Ain't nothing better when the wind goes cold.
Oh, yeah.
I only know this song because my buddy in Minnesota covers it.
Dude, look up Lady May by him. That's
Yeah.
what my wife walked down the aisle to. It's a slow tune, but it's so intimate and so good. Great tune.
All right, here we go. Lady May, Tyler Childers. None of this is probably going to make it because we're going to get a fucking copyright
Strike, yeah. But this guitar riff. Bing, bing.
I'm a stone's throw from the mill, and I'm a good walk to the river. When my working day is over.
You can't write this music without living this life.
It recorded so well.
Oh, so clean. It's so simple.
As long as we talk over it. I think
Yeah,
we're good.
yeah. I just want to listen to this line here when it comes up. That you love me. Lovely Lady May.
Oh, this is a good song to walk down the aisle to.
Oh,
Shit.
yeah.
Now I hate
Right here.
the sharpest chisel that your hands have ever held. But darling, I could love you well till the roll is called.
And he changes at every chorus. From the sharpest axe you've ever held. Or, Oh,
When his voice cracks there, he gets a vocal fry.
so intimate. Every time. I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Oh, I got goosebumps for sure. Big time.
Oh.
Wow.
But yeah, great song. My wife walked down the aisle to this, and I
Yeah,
cried.
damn.
I cried and I trembled.
Dude, I'm about to cry right now.
But
Push
my,
in on them tears.
my absolute favorite is Coulter Wall. He did a whole record. I think it was called like Western Swings and Waltzes of a lot of like classic covers, like of all these like songs that people have done throughout the years. And his cowpoke is so good.
Well, dude, we've been going for an hour 20.
Oh my God,
Hard
an
to
hour 20.
believe. So I think this is a perfect outro song.
Perfect outro. Take it away, Tyler.
Yeah. And I just want to say, dude, thanks for doing the pod.
Of course, man. Thanks
I
for
think
having me. I'm glad to have it.
We didn't even talk about all the shit I wanted to talk
Oh
about.
man, I'm sorry.
and,
I'm sorry.
I
I could talk for hours. I was ready to go for another 2 hours.
I think we're going to have to do this again. I think
Yeah,
that's my
we'll
point.
do an episode 2, man.
And we got into the gear a little bit. But yeah, thanks for listening to the 525 Records podcast. Johnny Gibson, what's your Instagram handle?
It's real_Johnny_Gibson.
If you want to see him working in the Tone Factory with all these artists. There's also the Tone Factory Instagram.
Yep.
What is that?
I think it's Tone Factory LV.
Okay, cool. Yeah, a lot of posts every day. Get to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff. And yeah, that's going to do it for the 525 Records podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll catch you next time.
Mm.